Hello everyone. Today I'm answering one of the most commonly Googled questions from home sellers since I've been doing a lot of home buyer stuff lately. The one very tippy top of their mind when I go meet people about the possibility of selling, that question is, and I bet you know this one, let's say it together, what is my home worth? And before we go any further, no, the answer is not whatever Zillow says. I know some of you are already mad at me about saying that, but hear me out. Online estimates can be a very useful starting point, but they don't walk through your house. They don't know if you've remodeled your kitchen. They don't know if your roof is brand new. And they definitely don't know if your neighbor painted the inside of their house neon orange, right? All of those things really can greatly affect your value. The truth is that your home is worth whatever a buyer is willing to pay for it. That, my friends, is the basic definition of market value. What a seller is willing to sell for and what a buyer is willing to pay. Here are some of the things that do not affect your house value. Not what you paid, not what you need, and not what Zillow thinks. And definitely not what your cousin's friend's neighbor sold their house for 3 years ago. And definitely not what your friends and family say they think it's worth either. They are well-intentioned, but they are not in the real estate business, right? That's just reality. So let's go back to the online estimates and sites like Zillow for just a second, because an interesting thing happened a couple weeks ago. I scheduled a listing consultation with some potential sellers, and when I looked at the houses around theirs that were on market or had sold, there were two that were comparable in size, but the others were way smaller. So I had to make big adjustments in the sold price of those properties to get them more in line with the size of the house that I was trying to price. And this size difference threw off the price of the home a lot because the price per square foot was so off. Smaller homes just tend to have a higher price per square foot in general. So as you go up in size, you have to consider it's not going to be the same price per square foot. A 2,800 square foot house is typically not going to sell for as high a price per square foot as a 2,000 square foot house in that same neighborhood. It's just the economy of scale thing, right? Online estimates, though, simply don't know how to make those adjustments. So when I went to the listing appointment and I went through my numbers, the price I was suggesting was around $675. You wanna know what this estimate was? It was $774. What? Yikes, right? And I'm here to tell you that in no market at any time soon would that house be worth $774. There's just no way to get there based on actual facts of today's market. But Zillow is likely just looking straight at price per square foot. They obviously don't take into account that the neighborhood pretty much caps out at $700K max. But I hate that when people are led to believe something like that from an online estimate, and I have to come in and completely burst that bubble, and it is not fun. I am the fun sponge, right? So anyway, what does actually determine value? Location, condition, size, updates, competition, current buyer demand. And the biggest factors are the homes that you're competing against are active in today's market, and then the homes that have recently sold that are like yours, that are comparable, or as we say, comps. That's what matters. Because buyers don't look at your house in isolation. They're comparing it to everything else available in that price range. If another home has a remodeled kitchen, updated bathrooms, and new flooring, buyers are going to notice that and are going to be willing to pay a little bit more. And right now, the market is saturated with listings and home sellers because there are just not enough buyers out there for the houses that are on the market. Standing out in the saturated market means the condition and the pricing and the marketing all has to work together to attract buyers and lead to that sale. Another thing that sellers often overlook is that value and list price are not necessarily the same thing. Sometimes the best strategy is to list slightly below market value to really create that activity. Sometimes it's right at market value. Sometimes adjustments are needed because of condition. Every property is different. That's why when we're talking about market value and answering that ultimate question of what is my home worth, you have to look at actual comparable sales, sold properties, and not online estimates. Because the market doesn't care what an algorithm thinks. It doesn't care what Zillow thinks. The market cares what real buyers are doing right now. And shameless plug here, if you're curious about your home's value, I'll be happy to put together a personalized analysis for you if you're in the Dallas area. No pressure, just information so you can make the best decision for your situation. That's all I have for you today. I know that's a big question that a lot of people have. What's my home value? And it varies so much, and you just have to really get someone that's an expert in real estate to answer that question. Don't rely on your Zestimate. That's the bottom line, people, okay? That's all I have. All right, I hope to see you next week on another edition of All Things Real Estate. And please do subscribe and like this video if you do. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All things real estate and all things